Hello and welcome to this video on staying motivated when working from home. Something that I've learned over the last 12 months is that working from home is hard. I'll be the first to admit that when the first lockdown was announced in March, I was quite excited at the prospect of working from home for a week or two. But that wore off really quickly. Somehow, as time went by, everything seemed to be getting harder to do. Motivation, productivity, enjoyment, focus, attention were all way down. Everything just seemed like an extra effort, and actually it was having a knock-on effect on other areas of my life that didn't really have anything to do with work. So in this video, I'm going to tell you some of the techniques that helped me to counter the effect of working from home. Hopefully they'll be useful to you and they'll make your life more productive and motivated, but also more importantly, allow you to be happier and less stressed. I would also just like to point out that these techniques are not massively revolutionary and they're definitely not new. Some of them have been around for ages, but these are just the ones that helped me the most, and I just wanted to share them with you so that they can potentially help you too. So top tip number one is stick to a routine. Routines make up an important part of our life. They help us to structure our day, be productive, stay on target, and stay active. If we're not careful, one of the first things that actually goes out of the window when working from home, both as a student and otherwise, is routine. Because it's easy to roll out of bed and join a meeting or join a lesson. It feels okay to do less work because maybe you could do it tomorrow. The pressure just seems less. I've learned that routines are something that we just simply take for granted, without really realizing what they do for us. Aside from keeping us productive, routines get us up, they get us out, they help us to maintain social contact, and so on. And a loss of routine and structure has been shown by research to cause increased feelings of stress and anxiety, and it can cause us to feel overwhelmed with the smallest of tasks and lead to a lack of concentration and focus, and ultimately a lack of motivation. So my first tip is make sure you stick to your routine. If you can, stick to a similar routine as you had when you were still going to work. Get up at the same time. Do the same things you would normally do in the morning. Stick to a work break schedule. Have your lunch at the same time you would normally have it. If you've got a revision or study timetable, then stick to it, just like you would normally do. In addition to lower stress levels, having a regular routine can help you form good daily habits, take better care of yourself, help you feel more productive, more motivated, more focused. Also, it gives you the opportunity to get necessary tasks out of the way, and that can then help you find more time for healthy behaviours like exercise and leave you more time to enjoy fun activities and hobbies. Top tip number 2 is establish a dedicated workspace. Create a dedicated workspace for yourself and your brain will thank you for it. It will increase productivity and focus and motivation because our brains quite simply work better in environments that are organised. If your workplace is chaotic, your mind will be chaotic as well. Your brain is effectively an association machine. It learns to link events, locations, and people together so that it can quickly prepare us for anything that might happen. And that preparation is psychological, but also physiological. So you might be tempted to work in bed, because let's be honest, your bed is probably the most comfortable space in the house. However, your bed is associated with relaxing. And your workplace is associated with productivity, and potentially also a little bit of stress. Mixing the two spaces will result in less productivity all round, because when you associate your bed with work, it can interfere with your sleep. Equally, if you were to associate your workplace with sleep, because you've been working in your bed, then it can make you feel lethargic, and it can cause a lull in energy levels, and it can interfere with your productivity. So, even though your bed might feel like a comfortable spot, separate your workspace from your relaxation space. Create a workspace somewhere else. The kitchen table, a desk in the corner of the living room, the dining room table, just anywhere that isn't associated with relaxation. Top tip number 3, practice good self-care. You'll never be at your best if you're exhausted and running on an excess of caffeine and sugar. You need a healthy diet, plenty of rest, and a good self-care strategy to perform at your peak. We are way more resilient and more able to handle what life throws at us when we are feeling at our best. In general, people who neglect their own needs and forget to nurture themselves are at danger of things like deeper levels of unhappiness, low self-esteem, less productivity, less motivation, that kind of stuff. But taking time to care for yourself will rectify those feelings. Also, think of it this way as well. If you look after yourself, then it'll make you better able to look after other people as well, because you're probably not the only person that you know that is feeling the way that you are. And being able to help other people is also a good thing. So, make sure you have a healthy diet. Make sure you get plenty of rest and relaxation. Give yourself enough time to spend some time doing your hobbies. Exercise. Pamper yourself once in a while. If you've had a stressful day at work or at school, then have a nice bath, get the candles going, chuck a bath bomb in, put a face mask on, do all of that kind of stuff, and just look after yourself a little bit. Also, don't forget to socialize as well, whether that is people in your house or people that you work with, checking in with people, or whether it's friends. Spend some time talking to people. Okay, all of these things involve being kind to yourself and looking after yourself, both physically but also emotionally. Top tip number 4, introduce some variety to your life. Varying things that you do at home, but also at work, increase your productivity, your motivation, your focus, and also it increases your brain's ability to learn and take in new information. More than that though, it can just alleviate some boredom. And boredom, of course, brings with it a reduction in focus and attention, so anything that we can do to alleviate that is good. Now, whether it is work-related or otherwise, variety makes things better. Research has found that people who increase their activity diversity exhibit higher levels of cognitive functioning than those who maintained lower or decreased activity diversity. That includes increased working memory span, increased verbal fluency, attention, processing speed, reasoning, all that kind of stuff. Equally, on the flip side of that, a lack of activities or lots of passive behavior like binge watching TV or spending X amount of hours on your phone is associated with cognitive decline. So work-wise, don't spend 4 hours doing a single past paper, or checking emails or reading your textbook, whatever. Maybe spend 20 minutes or half an hour doing each one of those things to introduce a little bit of variety in what it is that you're doing. Out of work, don't move from your desk and then go and have a lay down on the couch watching TV or checking your phone and then go to bed, because each one of those things are a fairly passive behavior and they don't really include very much diversity. Okay, so you could go from spending a day at work or a day at your desk working, you could then go for a run, go for a walk, go and talk to people, play a game with the people in your house, read a book, anything like that. Okay, but just make sure that there is a little bit of activity diversity in what it is that you're doing. Top tip number 5, work in small blocks of time and have regular breaks. So recent research has found that the most productive people work purposefully for small blocks of time, but then they ensure that they have regular, high-quality breaks. Now, ironically, research has also found that the majority of people work for more than 8 hours a day, regularly don't have a lunch break, and actually feel guilty when they do have a break. Now, the thing is, the human brain hasn't evolved to focus on one task for extended periods of time. The human brain actually works in high bursts of activity, followed by a short time of low activity. And so it makes sense to take advantage of this when you're working. Now, there are a whole range of techniques out there that utilize the idea of working in chunks and then taking a break. Some of them say work for 25-minute blocks and then have a 5-minute break, like the Pomodoro technique, whereas others suggest 90-minute blocks with a 30-minute break, utilizing the body's natural 90-minute ultradian rhythm. My personal favourite is the 52-17 method, which effectively is work for 52 minutes and then give yourself a 17-minute break. It's a sweet spot between the two extremes. It allows for tasks that are potentially going to take more than 25 minutes to complete, but it's not quite as extreme as working for a solid 90 minutes. During those 52 minutes, you're not getting distracted by phones, so phones are away, notifications on your computer are off, your door's shut, you're not checking emails or anything like that unless it's part of the task. You are just focused on what it is that you want to achieve. Then you get a 17-minute break. Now, interestingly as well, research has also shown that breaks aren't all created equally. Good quality breaks actually have to be breaks, because breaks help you to refocus and not get bored. They give your brain a chance to make connections between the things that you've learnt, and they also allow you to make sure that you're still on track for what you want to achieve, because it is quite easy to get off topic and kind of go off on a tangent somewhere. So, good quality breaks involve moving away from your workspace, allowing your brain to focus on other things. Checking your emails, watching YouTube videos, that kind of stuff doesn't really count. I'm thinking, have some food, go for a walk, listen to some music, meditate, have a power nap, read something, but read for pleasure, don't read for work. Talk to people, that kind of stuff. Now, just to finish off, we have a few honorary mentions. So, sleep is massively important. Sleep didn't come any earlier than number 6 for me because I generally don't have problems sleeping. However, getting a good and regular 7 hours minimum sleep is going to be ideal. You don't want to go much more than 8 or 9 hours, so 7 hours, 8 hours is generally the sweet spot. Sleep is massively important because when you're asleep, your brain starts to reorder, restructure, reorganize itself. It integrates the information that you've learned during the day. It links it to the stuff that you already know. It integrates it into the things that you already know. And all of that stuff happens when you're asleep. Not getting enough sleep is linked to reduced cognitive functioning, and so you want to make sure you get enough of it. Thinking about what I said earlier when it comes to schedules, I would also suggest that you go to bed and get up at the same time as you would usually do if you were still at work. Okay, so make sure that you are following a similar routine as you would usually have. Keep in contact with people as well. Okay, so that's number 7. There are loads of people around you who you would usually see on a day-to-day basis who are probably all feeling a little bit like you. Make the effort to get in touch with them. Talk to them. I would probably avoid talking too much about how rubbish everything is at the minute because there's always a little bit of a danger that you can come off the phone call feeling worse than you did when you went on. It's absolutely fine to say to somebody that you're struggling a little bit, but I wouldn't dwell on it too much. Talk about positive things. Talk about plans that you're going to make for the future. Arrange plans with your friends for when we're out of lockdown. Talk about something interesting that you've learned or something fun that you've experienced today. Something like that. Keep it lighthearted, keep it positive, and just use that time to check in with people and make sure that everyone is okay. Number 8 is limit distractions. So when you are in the zone and when you are working in your short bursts of time, then make sure your phone is on Do Not Disturb mode. Make sure it's not even near you anywhere so you're not distracted by its presence. Make sure your notifications are off. Make sure your door's shut. All of that stuff. Limit the distractions that you are going to get. Number 9. It doesn't hurt to remind yourself of why you are doing what you're doing. If you've got a long-term goal in mind, whether that is, a particular university, a particular course, a particular job, whatever, then print something off that reminds you of that and stick it up on your wall so that every now and again you can look up at it and you can say, yes, that is what I'm working for. You can even put a reminder on your phone so that at the start of every day or halfway through every day, it pops up on your phone and you can just see it and say, yes, that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then finally, number 10, use rewards and challenges. Okay, so if you are doing a burst of work followed by a break, maybe reward yourself with something in that break so that you have something to look forward to, so that you know that you're working towards some kind of reward, whatever that might be for you. Equally, if you're somebody who thrives off challenges, then maybe challenge yourself to do a hard task in your 30-minute work time or in your 90-minute work time or however long you're working for. Maybe give yourself less time to do a fairly complex job and push yourself to finish it ahead of schedule. Because if you manage to do it, then you will get a sense of relief and a sense of reward from having completed it. But obviously, also, don't be afraid to ask for help, because even just attempting it and then working out what it is that you're struggling with or working out what it is that you can't do, that can be rewarding in itself. Okay, so setting a challenge can be rewarding if you complete the challenge, but it can also be rewarding if you get to a certain point, but then learn that you need to work on certain areas. Now, just before I finish off, I just want to point out that if anything that I've said in this video is useful, and if you think you're going to give any of those a go, it's important to understand that you are going to be introducing a new habit into your life. Okay? More importantly than that, even, you're going to be trying to break old habits. And that is really, really hard to do. And it's the start of a new habit that is always going to require the greatest effort. Making that first step is always the hardest. If you can stick with it, it will be hugely rewarding and you will get a lot out of it. However, my advice would be to start small. Okay, don't overface yourself at the beginning. If you're going to try and work in small chunks, then maybe don't start working in 90-minute chunks, maybe start working in half-an-hour chunks. Particularly if you're not used to actually sitting and working in a concentrated manner for an extended period of time. Okay, so whatever you do, start small and then work your way up. And just be prepared for the fact that it will be hard at the beginning, but you have to push through. Be strict with yourself, force yourself to do it, and you will see that you will reap the rewards. You might find that a particular technique isn't for you, and that's fine as well. But make sure you give it a good chance to actually work. Okay, don't quit after half an hour and say, oh, this doesn't work for me, because you need to give it a fair chance. Stick with it, push through, and you will see that you'll be rewarded in the long run. So, like I said, these are my favourite techniques, and these are the ones that work for me. With a little bit of luck, there'll be something in there that you can use, and there'll be something in there that will make you feel more productive, more motivated, but ultimately also happier and less stressed working from home. Okay, so I hope it's been useful. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If there's anything that I've missed, or if there's a particular technique that you use that works for you, then feel free to pop them in the comments section below. I'd love to hear what you think. Thank you very much for listening. Stay positive, stay safe, look after each other, and remember, we will be back to normality with a little bit of luck sooner rather than later. Thanks very much for listening.